Welcome to the May 2018 astrological forecast brought to you by Ms. Jenny. This month, the focus will be on two things. One, the transit of Mercury and Uranus changing signs from Aries to Taurus, simultaneously squaring Mars, which will also be changing signs from from Capricorn to Aquarius. Also included in this report will be a discussion about Uranus in Taurus because that is a major transit. So let's begin. So for the month of 2018 and these transits that we're looking at, the best phrase that we can use to describe what the cosmos has in store for us is a phrase called the penny finally drops. The penny finally drops is an old expression that means someone has finally realized the situation they're in, possibly after being unaware of it for a long time, depending on the situation. The phrase dates back to the Victorian era and the popular penny slot arcades. The penny would often stick halfway down the slot, and the user would then have to either wait or give the machine a thump before the penny finally dropped and they could begin playing. So, in many respects this month, we're going to be seeing a whole lot of stuff that's going to move finally and bring us out of a state of limbo. So for this month, looking at this square, so here are the dates to watch. From May 11th all the way down to May 16th is when all of this is going to be active. Sorry. So Mercury and Uranus on May 11th and 12th, and on the 12th specifically, will be down here at 29 Aries. It will be squared by Mars in Capricorn at 28-29 Capricorn. Now, with the Mercury-Uranus conjunction squaring Mars in Capricorn, by the way, this is just a planet on the angle house, so disregard the actual house locations of these planets. With this Mercury-Uranus conjunction in the last degrees of Aries squaring Mars, we've got a couple of things happening. So with Mercury and Uranus in those last degrees of a cardinal fire sign, there is an impatience to move on with things. There's this sense of power and momentum and urgency being built up and harnessed, almost like, essentially it's creating energy and power, because when you take energy and you restrain it long enough, that energy builds up to critical mass and then becomes a powerful force. So here we have this Mercury-Uranus energy that's been building and building and building and building and not being let out of the gate. And now it's in an urgent momentum to move forward and make things happen, to make concrete and real all of the things that it has been bringing with it. Mars squaring this will, of course, because Mars is your planet of action, will of course bring these things to critical mass and certainly to a head. So for people on an individual level, if you have planets in the late degrees of cardinal signs, Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, or Libra, you will be feeling this in particular. And there may be more than a few, the penny finally dropped sort of moments that come into play where you really now have to, deal with the issues that are on the table that you may have been ignoring for a very long time by taking action, as it were. This particular aspect, especially with Mars and Uranus, tends to be a cutting aspect or a severing aspect. So there's a lot of cutting the wheat from the chaff, as it were, under these energies. With Mercury, these are also decisions and contracts and communications. So things may come to light through conversation or documents, anything that's a written form of dialogue or communication between people that you can physically put your hands on, that will bring to light situations and issues that you were not aware of before, that really finally put an end to a long-standing situation that may have needed to end a long time ago. For those of you who do not carry planets in the cardinal signs in those late degrees, you will still be feeling this. So what you're going to do is check the houses that this aspect is occurring in, and that's where you will be feeling the most urgent pressure to make solid, substantive changes that are meaningful in your life, and really sort of put your foot down and get on with the business of getting on with things. As these planets move into Taurus, change signs, right? So here on May 15th, now on the chart, it'll still say Capricorn and it's still going to say Aries. But if you look right here, we're literally in the last minutes of it. So May 15th, May 16th, depending on where on the planet you are, because this is set up for New York, this is when you're going to be feeling it. So the 15th or 16th is when Mars and Uranus change signs as well. And remember, this square between Mercury, Uranus, and Mars is active the entire time. So when Mars and Uranus switch gears and finally shift over into the next sign, which would be Taurus and Aquarius, that's when it will be irreversible. So things that are done at this time, once we get into that Taurus Aquarius square, there is no stopping the train. Things are going to move forward, whether people want them to or not. The other thing is that with these particular energies, one of the things that we are looking for, we're going from a crisis of conscience, okay, where we are suddenly woke, as it were, or brought to conscience, all of the things that we were not dealing with or that we weren't prepared to deal with. We have no choice now. And this is a process of healing and literally liberation and letting go of things that inhibit our growth. So as painful and disruptive and upsetting as some of these things may be for some people, they're very, very important in order for us to get to a healthier, less toxic, better place and to make progress in ourselves and our lives. When we make the transition over into Taurus, that's when we're going to start the building process. So it will literally be a brand new ball game at that point. Uranus and Taurus squared by Mars in the sign of its natural rulership, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, indicates some extremely unexpected turns of events. So these are, the fickle finger of fate dialing the phone this time. So there are many things that are going to occur that we could not have possibly seen coming. And here is the chart when they've officially changed signs. So here you've got that Mars in Aquarius, and we've got that Uranus there in Taurus with Mercury still close to Uranus. So just, fasten your seatbelts and get through it as best you can while we go through this adjustment. Some of the things that we may also see are longstanding institutions, whether in our personal lives or in, our external world, will come to a grinding halt, or will just literally blow up in our faces. Not literally speaking, but metaphysically or metaphorically speaking. There is a tremendous breakdown and rise of titans at the same time that this is occurring. So one of the things that we may be dealing with that's coming into our awareness is the magnitude and size of the puppet masters that have been controlling and orchestrating different situations in our lives. If we are the puppet master, or we thought we were, we may be coming face to face with the fact that we are not as safe and protected and hidden as we thought we were. So lots and lots of things exploding into view, and the eyes cannot unsee what has been seen. So once these things are visible and upfront and in your face, and there's no denying that you can see what's going on, there's no going back on this. Now, what's interesting also is that we have, let's see here, there it is. At the same time that that Uranus and Mars make that shift right into Taurus, because it's going in right the next day. So this is basically the same day, the 15th and the 16th. We also have, look at this, a new moon in Taurus. So things that are done at this time are literally going to be almost impossible, or will be impossible, frankly, to change, correct, or fix. So whatever course we set ourselves on at this time, it will be irreversible. We will literally be catapulted forward in directions, whether we want to go navigate in that direction or not. We're going to have to deal with things as we find them and make the best of situations, because it's a long-term situation that we're getting involved in, and there's no undoing it for a long time. Now, with the new moon in Taurus at the 24th and 25th degree, again, this is a building. This is a building things. We're not just building momentum. We're establishing new structures and new order and new laws and a new playing field that we're going to be living with for a very, very long time. And the thing to remember is that this is not built on a whim. These were processes and things that have been gaining momentum and establishing themselves right underneath our noses for a long time now. We just weren't seeing them. So in your personal life, it may look like a major disruption in your life, but these are forces and elements and issues that have been building and building and building for a long time. And it's like like the magic show, The Great Reveal, when they pull back the curtain, right? And ta-da, there it is. So the curtain or the drape gets pulled back to expose this thing, but it's not like it's suddenly appeared. It's been there a while, and it's been a long time in the process of making. And the Great Reveal only shows us what all of this has come to. And literally, this is a whole new playing field. This is a whole different thing. So it will be interesting to see what this looks like in your personal life. Again, remember, acting with integrity and awareness and doing what's right for everyone involved is the only protection we ever have in life. So do the best that you can with what is in front of you, and make your decisions very, very carefully, because this is a very long-term paradigm shift. The playing field is being set for years and years and years to come. So this is not a fly-by-night change in circumstance, or a small little hurdle in our life that we have to get through. This is a big deal. Now, with this new moon trining that Pluto, while these planets are changing signs, we've got Uranus going into Taurus and Mars going into Aquarius. The upside of this is that the ability to become more resourceful and the ability to amass tremendous amounts of resources, whether it is financial or material or social, whatever those resources are, that possibility is there. So for people who carry planets in the middling degrees, around 20 to 28 of the Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, this is going to be, the next decade is going to be amazing in terms of the work that you're going to be able to get done. For other people, it may be a little bit more challenging, because we are going to be required to utilize the resources that are in front of us, because renewable resources will be an issue. And the inability to renew resources, such as land. You can't manufacture land. So as we run out of available land on the globe to farm, we're running out of sustainable, renewable agriculture resources. And this is an issue. These are the things that are going to come up as we go through this. So this whole week, just in brief, from the 12th down to the 16th is going to be a hotbed of activity. So we should see all sorts of amazing turns of events, both globally as well as personally for some of us. Get through it the best you can, make your decisions with tremendous seriousness, and understand that the impact of these decisions and the consequences of these decisions are decades long. These are not a couple of years and then, things will settle down. We are literally changing the playing field entirely, and this is something we're going to have to live with for generations. So make your decisions wisely. Now, I have May 19th here written down because with all of this insanity that's going on, and any type of change that we're not prepared for, that we are doing ourselves, is always experienced disruptive, because we're not prepared for it. Because if we were making a change, we would be prepared for it. And it's always much easier. So in this particular case, there's no way we can be prepared for these outside forces to act upon us, because this is literally the winds of fate intervening at this point and shuffling things around and moving things around, and ripping off the veils that were hiding things before, in terms of the actual mechanics that were behind situations, both in our lives and in society. So it's going to be a very complicated week. I wouldn't say high drama, but definitely it's going to be challenging. Now, May 19th, Venus, oh thank God, Venus will slide into Cancer. It will go to 0 Cancer. And once it goes into 0 Cancer, it will set up all sorts of nice supportive aspects that will make this transit a lot easier to deal with. So get rid of that. So when Venus goes into Cancer, right here, okay, it will set up a nice sextile to that Mercury-Uranus. Hurrah. It's going to be opposed Pluto. That's going to be a little challenging, but all this is going to do is this is going to require us to be, and encourage us to be, a lot more organized in our efforts and a lot more thrifty. So we're less likely to be wasteful when this happens. So we'll make better use of the resources that we do have. And as it leaves these degrees, it will move into a trine with Jupiter in Scorpio, and also a trine with Neptune. And both of these signs have to do with reclaiming and recycling and reusing resources that we have and not wasting them. So when Venus slides into Cancer, we'll be able to take a breath and make better sense of how to better manage the resources that we do have and waste a lot less. So waste and renewable resources, or the lack of renewable resources, is going to be a very big conversation with Uranus and Taurus. Okay, blow this up. So now we're going to get into Uranus and Taurus. So some of the things, like, people are spending a lot of time talking about Uranus and Taurus and how this is going to affect the banking institutions and financial regulations and, money, 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 money. And, these things are certainly ruled by Taurus. Money definitely is under the second house domain, and also Taurus, but there's more to it than that, because Taurus, Taurus is about our physical comforts, and it's about our resources, and it's about food and the ability to sustain ourselves, and it's about building and manufacturing. So when we have heavy Taurus activation, these are the things that come up. Money, all money does is allow us to purchase those things. Money is not really a resource. Money is a tool and a form of resource for us to get Taurian things like food and shelter and clothing and comfort and pleasure. So with Uranus going in Taurus, we should see, as we move forward with Uranus through the sign of Taurus, we should see radical revolutionizing in terms of how we see our resources, how we use our resources, what we determine are our resources, and certainly many, many conversations about agriculture and land mass or real estate. And also how we are getting our needs met, because Taurus in the second house is about how you get your needs met. One of the things that we know is that we have more people and less available agriculture, real estate available. So we're we've got more people and we're running out of places to grow food. And it's not anyone's fault but our own. We don't need another suburban shopping mall. We do need more farms. So there is that. Uranus and Taurus may shake up the banking institution and the regulation of finances, and we've seen this happening. With Bitcoin, did come out with Uranus in Aries, not Uranus and Taurus. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrency may be the upstart, the little feisty upstart pipsqueak, in all of this. But this is certainly not going to be the be-all, end-all of how these things are done. The thing to consider, or I would say the thing to consider, is when we look at this, right? Uranus and Taurus right here. Uranus and Taurus, as it enters the sign, okay, the first thing it's going to do is make a beautiful trine to Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn in the sign of its rulership, Capricorn, which is probably the best news we could absolutely get. And the reason for this is Saturn in its own sign can give us the tremendous potential for an inordinate amount of wisdom. And Saturn is a thrifty, practical, pragmatic planet. So Saturn does not like wasting resources, okay? And Capricorn certainly does not like wasting resources, time, money, physical things. It doesn't like waste. And what is Taurus about? Taurus is about our resources. So Uranus, which is this planet of revolution and rethinking how we do things and thinking outside of the box and visionaries and seeing the future and was doing the thing that nobody even considered possible, like literally just like the Wright brothers deciding that man could fly and trying to build a plane. Uranus is very much about the future and just literally doing things in ways that are completely alien to the ways we've done them before. In trine to the Saturn and Capricorn, disregard the retrograde, we're not worried about that. That's just going to slow it down a little. In trine to that Saturn, it's going to give us the golden opportunity to have a golden age of resource management. So we may find a few things happening. One, people may, and certainly generations, the younger generations may find a call to action to develop more practical skills, being able to do more things by hand on their own, make their own clothes, grow their own food, build their own houses, all of these very physical, hands-on, very immediate Taurus sort of things, because Taurus is the sign of the builder. Uranus trining Saturn also gives us a different structure within which to build systems. So we are going to revolutionize the systems within which we operate in the world. So many, many things that were long overdue for an overhaul because they were inefficient are now going to be front, center, and on the table for a drastic renovation, which is good because less waste, more efficiency. And remember, Uranus is the planet of the humanitarian, more humanitarian focus in what we do. So Saturn and Capricorn, and if you've ever known Capricorns, you know what I'm talking about, right? So Saturn and Capricorn tends to be very much about efficiency at any cost. So Saturn and Capricorn can be very cruel to the point of being inhumane because Saturn is all about the bottom line, and so is Capricorn. Uranus, however, is humanitarian and it's about the bigger picture and it's about people, not things. So with Uranus and Saturn making that trine to each other, approaching that trine, we may see a more humanitarian vision of how to better set up structures and systems in terms of labor forces, Taurus, okay, and managing them, Capricorn, that is more people focused and less of this ungodly bottom line profit driven, we don't care about the people, we'll just replace them with new wage slaves sort of mentality. So that old Enron formula, what is it, the ends justifies the means. uh, school of management may finally die the dinosaur death it needs to. So let's cross our fingers and hope for the higher side of this vision. Now, after it finishes this trine Saturn, and this is certainly much, much later, but it will move into a trine with Pluto. Okay, so that's way down the road. But when it hits that trine with Pluto, we may see a completely different world around us, literally, in terms of technologies and things. So cloning organs and not having to utilize red market for transplants, having vehicles that fly, air travel as a common occurrence, as like literally stuff right out of the Jetsons. This is the stuff we can expect to see when Uranus gets closer to that trine with Pluto. Now, between these two, before we go from one to the other, Uranus will make up, a few other aspects. The most significant with the outer planets that we're going to see are going to be with Jupiter and with Neptune. So we're going to start with Jupiter because Jupiter moves faster. Jupiter and Uranus will not catch up with each other during this transit. So by the time Uranus gets down to the 17th degree, Jupiter will have already moved into its next sign of Sagittarius. And then, of course, Capricorn. So by the time Jupiter gets into Capricorn, which I don't have my ephemeris, we can look it up later. But when Jupiter gets into the sign Capricorn, it finally makes that transit. Again, Uranus will make a beautiful trine to that. So there's all sorts of good progressive stuff that's going to help lift us up as a whole people, the human race, as it were, and move us forward in our life in ways that make sense and are life supporting and life affirming. Okay, but we've got some stuff to go through before we get there. Now, well, maybe not before, but somewhere around this time also, Uranus will be in sextile to that Neptune and Pisces, which again further reinforces this humanitarian, visionary, less materialistic, greed-driven, toxic mentality. We are heading into such good, healthy times. We've got some work to do before we get there, and we're in the trenches now as we speak, and come mid-May, when we get into all of this, okay, this is where we now start doing the work. We're so doing the work right now. So expect a lot of kicking and screaming, a lot of dust being kicked up as people, find their sacred cows being, put on the auction block, as it were. These things are never easy, but they are necessary. And if we handle these things just right, if we make the long-term plan, right, and we do this just right, the trajectory that we set ourselves on moving forward will be something that we will be proud to bequeath to our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And we will be able to say that we were part of that amazing change. But, we got to focus. We have to focus on what's good and right and possible. And we've got to get away from this me, mine, my sort of mentality, because Taurus is very much about me and mine. So is Aries. So Aries and Taurus, all of the initial signs, right? Gemini and Cancer, all of these are the selfish signs. These are all about me, mine, my. And these things are necessary in terms of survival, right? So infants need to survive, and the only way an infant can survive is by making the entire universe about them, because it has no other defenses and it has no other skills. Taurus is the developmental stage of a human in the toddler stages. So it's about having things and possession and ownership. So Taurus is about me and mine and my, And then, of course, Gemini and Cancer, we'll get into that later. So with Taurus, the emphasis is on what I have, what is physically available to me. With Uranus here, what this does is this is all taking us out of this Uranus in Aries, right? and bringing us into Uranus and Taurus. With Uranus and Taurus, what this is saying is, these are the things that I have available to me. These are the things that I have physical access to. And this is about my community and the world at large, and how do we make this work for everybody. Because Uranus and Aquarius is a very democratic, unselfish sign. It's not about the tribe and the, racial, ethnic, kind of, living on the island and no one else is allowed on it sort of mentality. Uranus is about crossing those boundaries and about being starseed and about the much bigger picture and humanity as the tribe. We are coming out of this Uranus in Aries, and remember, Aries is the infant, and it's very much about me, right? So with the Aries energy, everything has been about, identity, because it's also Aries. Who am I? What do I represent? What does my life mean? How do people perceive me? This is who I am, and you will recognize it. So Aries has very much, this whole Uranus and Aries thing has been very much about challenging our identities and making us come to places in our life where we ask ourselves the hard questions about who am I, and am I willing to stand alone with my identity. Uranus unfortunately rules groups, so you have a lot of people who want to be individuals and standing in a group, and then we'll talk about other people being special snowflakes altogether. It also tends to make it Uranus and Aries galvanizes things, so it makes things very hard and unyielding and unreasonable, and nothing is more unreasonable than a know-it-all who's convinced that they know everything and nobody else could possibly know more than they do. And that's what you get with Uranus and Aries. And that's what we've seen a lot of. This militant, I'm right, nobody else knows what they're talking about, my mind is made up, don't confuse me with the facts, sort of approach to identity. Luckily, thank God, Uranus will be leaving Aries, so we can leave all that infantile identity nonsense behind and get to the business of doing the work. And the most important thing is that it will be about doing the work as it matters to everyone and as it matters to the generations that we're leaving this legacy behind for. So yes, Uranus and Taurus absolutely will do stuff that involves shaking up the banking and financial regulation industry, yada, 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 snooze, yawn, snooze. But more importantly, Uranus and Taurus will have us re-examining and really revolutionizing how we approach our resources. And this will be present in your personal life as well. So look for the houses where Uranus and Taurus, the house where Uranus and Taurus sits in your chart, and that's where you will have the most opportunity and the most compelling desire to make great changes in terms of being more efficient with the stuff you got. You're not going to want more stuff. You're going to want to recycle, reinvent, renew, redo, revise, and recondition the stuff that's already there. So we should see a lot of increases in the maker movement and crafty stuff, which is good. So the whole 70s DIY crafty stuff should be making a golden age renaissance when Uranus gets into Taurus, which I'm looking forward to. So bring back the embroidery and the needlework, yeah. And then also look for Saturn in your chart. Where is Saturn and Capricorn in your chart? This is where you're going to find you have the most strength and the ability to find the most organization to sustain those efforts. So you will find that the greatest changes in your life that are going to be instrumental in setting up new, more productive, efficient foundations for you and your resource management will be coming out of those two houses. So you might want to take a look for that. And we can certainly do a separate video about the Saturn Uranus placement in those houses, but for now, let's just leave it here because this is kind of getting to be a long video. So that's it. I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I will try and get back to you on it, and we will work on a separate video about Uranus and Saturn, or I'll even do it in text. We'll do a separate text post, like a written post about Uranus and Saturn in the houses and where we can look for those changes in our personal lives, and that will be posted on my Patreon page. And that's it. So that's it. We've got a heck of a month coming up. This is exciting. This is exciting. The future will change on the head of a pin. We're so excited. And finally, we're getting out of that damn Uranus and Aries, hard-headed, pig-headed, blind. Oh my God. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. I'm loving Uranus and Taurus because it is going to trine this Saturn, which is a beautiful thing. We're loving that. And look at this, we've got that new moon right there in a sympathetic, in the same sign in Taurus as Uranus officially moves into its new home in Taurus. So, and that new moon is trining Pluto. So honey, it has got to be good. All right, so this has been your forecast. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a great, great May. Be positive, be optimistic, and remember, this is all about literally changing the playing field. So it's a whole new game. So try to prepare yourself for a whole lot of unexpected stuff coming to the forefront that you just didn't know. Like a magic show, the great unveiling is about to come. All right, darlings, talk to you soon. Bye.